going to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor crouched over an unidentified woman are featured in the latest disclosure of files linked to the late American sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The images are among more than 3 million documents published by the Trump administration. It's not known where they were taken. Mr. Mountbatten Windsor has been asked for comment, but he hasn't responded. He's previously denied any wrongdoing. The US Justice Department said this was the final batch of material that would be published. John Sudworth has the details.
In and amongst the more than one.
So basically, as you can, if you imagine, it seems to me, I don't know, at this point, you can imagine a lady laying flat on her back and then someone is just basically over her, but they both are wearing clothing. It seems like a casual situation that's happening. And so this lady, what happened is that she's not a minor. She's 25, and they say, but he's leaning over her. I'm not sure if he's practicing like CPR or something. It kind of seemed like that, but for some reason, probably he's done more than this. But this is what it is.
180,000 images released are these pictures showing the then Prince Andrew kneeling over and touching a female whose identity has been hidden. There's no...
Yeah. Virginia Griffith was one of the victims of Epstein. Okay, who is that? Virginia Griff. So allegedly, let's see. Let me take a look of who is that person. She passed away last year. Oh, I think I've seen her. I've seen her picture before. Prince Andrew had a photo of her. Yeah, all of these guys are doing these things. Oh, 6 months after she passed away by unaliving herself in Australia. That is crazy. And now you gotta ask, did she actually, unalive herself, or was it an inside job, to be honest. But at this point, so Prince Andrew, all of these people are doing some sort of illegal stuff, and then
no context, location or date provided. Andrew has always denied any criminal wrongdoing, but this latest batch of files once again contains items raising serious questions of judgment, not least an email exchange from 2010, long after his close friend Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of sexual offences involving children, suggesting he meet with a 26-year-old Russian woman in London who he might enjoy having dinner with. Andrew replies he would be delighted to see her and adds, "Will she be bringing a message from you? Please give her my contact details to get in touch." Epstein writes back, "She's 26, Russian, clever and beautiful, and yes, she has your email."
We will continue.
Okay, at this point, that doesn't sound like any wrongdoing because she's of age. The only way it could be of wrongdoing if that 26-year-old was taken without her permission, or she was taken by force. But who knows? Because in that story of that situation, all that situation that happened was a lot of different people were taken without their consent.
The new files also contain further revelations about Peter Mandelson, who last year lost his job as British ambassador to Washington after it became clear his friendship with Epstein had been deeper than previously known. They include the claim that the sex offender sent Lord Mandelson's then partner, now husband, Ronaldo Avila da Silva, £10,000 to cover the cost of an osteopathy course. Lord Mandelson has described his friendship as a most terrible mistake and says he wasn't aware of Epstein's crimes.
Water.
It's like nobody were really aware of what was really happening. Everybody was just like, okay, this is happening, but I don't know what this is about, or I don't know what he was doing. So let me understand this. You're gonna be a very influential person who have very much a lot of big ties, and for some reason you don't know who you're dealing with, you don't know their background, you don't do a background check to make sure that you're dealing with the right person who's not gonna get you or tarnish your image. Like something is not adding up, to be honest. That's what I'm finding. What's up, Shy?
There's little, though, to pose a real threat to President Trump, apart from some unsubstantiated allegations which the FBI had already ruled out, nor, his administration says, anything to prove a wider conspiracy. But with so many documents withheld or redacted, Jeffrey Epstein's victims do not believe they've yet been given the whole truth.
When the president signed the bill in November, it was to release all the files. All the files need to be released. They haven't been released. So that's what closure looks like. That's what justice looks like, whether anyone's prosecuted or not. Get the full information out there so the public, the survivors, and everyone can really know what's going on.
With continuing court.
Okay, well, to know what's going on, that's gonna be for sure. But what's gonna happen though? I mean, is it just an expose of just getting the information out there? That's gonna be it. Well, what's next? So once you get the information out, and then what? Yeah, because yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything is gonna happen to these people, for sure not.
Calls for him to give evidence in America, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has yet to respond to the latest revelations, but he's always strenuously denied any wrongdoing.
John Sudworth there.
I'm 14-year-old, 100 kilo. Okay, you're 14 years old, then you shouldn't be here. If you're 14 years old, look, you shouldn't be here. I'll put you out. In fact, I'll block you. You come in my chat if you're 14. Okay, block.
Well, the documents also include email correspondence between tech billionaire Elon Musk and Epstein. The new emails show that Musk, who's not been accused of any wrongdoing in the case, discussed travelling to Epstein's island on more than one occasion, including a 2012 trip where he asked Epstein, "What day/night will be the wildest party on your island?" There's no evidence that Mr. Musk ever did end up taking a trip to Epstein's island.
How wild can a party actually get, to be honest? I mean, yeah, maybe just the sceneries, you can see different things, but how wild can it actually get? But maybe some people, maybe they just went there for the party, the partying scene itself and nothing more. Probably that's the case. They just went there just to see what was happening, but then anything else was not really something that they, looking forward to. It could be that case. Not everyone who goes there are looking for the same thing. Some people are just looking for a getaway, for a party, to enjoy themselves.
Writing on X, he says, "No one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, but was well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name." Well, Gloria Allred, a prominent civil rights attorney, represents many of Epstein's victims. She gave her reaction to the latest release of files.
Some of them are completely devastated by the fact that the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, was supposed to and indicated that they were redacting victims' names, the survivors' names. And yet, today, with the release of these more than 3 million files, many of the names of my clients who have been Jane Doe for many, many years were in fact published. And this is devastating to them. And we have to deal with that because, they had little or no trust in the government. Now they have no trust in the government because the government has not earned that trust. And the Assistant Attorney General today, Todd Blanche, in his press conference said that he hopes.
It's true. I mean, yeah, the government is not having this trust. Yeah, when it comes to these people, the victims, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen to them, to be honest. Like if they're gonna actually be able to find some form of closure, some sort of relief. But how do you get closure from this situation? Because it's like it's been happening, it's been going on for such a long period of time, for years. Hey, I don't know what closure really looks like when it comes to them. But only these victims would know what closure means for them. And that doesn't mean all the time to punish the people, everybody. But again, there are some people who could have gone, who could have really done wrong. But there are some people who was just there for the party itself.
Hopes that the release of the files will bring closure to the victims. This is ridiculous because they have devastated so many of these survivors by publicly releasing their names. At best, it was a sloppy job. At worst, it.
Okay, to the survivors, I understand. I'm trying to understand what she said, because did they release the name of the survivors, or I don't know, well, people who were there? Because it seems like it's not only the there are so much superstars or people who are, who are, top level people who has probably is not all of them who did the thing that we think that they did, and probably is not all of them who are guilty of it, but still their faces are basically exposed, or their entire brand is exposed to this and being tarnished to this situation that happens, and probably they were not really taking part in the in the wrongness of this entire situation. But again, their faces are, their information is being sent to the public, or portrayed to the public. Like for example, Michael Jackson. There's no way we could actually, ask Michael Jackson at this point, okay, what did he do? Basically interview him to find out what happened. But again, for some reason, his face is there, so he's gonna be guilty by association.
Smacks of a cover up.
Okay. Let's see this.
John, a number of questions from this, but first of all, the administration indicating this is the final batch. Is that likely to be the case?
That's what they're saying, that they have complied with the law, which was that they release all relevant files, except for a few exceptions for legal reasons or to protect the identities of the victims. But they say this is pretty much it. What's interesting, Geeta, I think in some ways this story is now playing bigger in the UK than it is in the US. So some US news sites I noticed not even leading on this story this morning. And I think that's, of course, because of the involvement of people like Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, Peter Mandelson, etc. There are, of course, other high-profile American figures caught up in this latest batch of documents. The Microsoft founder Bill Gates, for example, in what looks like an email that wasn't sent, written by Jeffrey Epstein. The suggestion in these files is that Bill Gates.
Yeah, well, one thing is for sure is that we cannot know who were the person who actually were doing the wrong things. But again, it's a party. Just like if any one of us will go to a party, there will be some things that would happen. A lot could be happening in other party. There are different rooms, and that was just because a situation was taking place in a party, and then because you were there doesn't mean that you were also taking place in it or were doing it as well. So that's a delicate situation, I find. But again, it's gonna take some time to actually understand who were these people who did wrong.